For our new state-of-the-art factory campus at Silverstone, we need to have a fast and intelligent network that can meet all of our demands. We need the best network, and we chose Juniper. Their unique innovation and AI capabilities enable a resilient, fast and intelligent network. It provides the vital data link between the pit wall, trackside garage and factory during each race, to the extent that our network from Juniper travels with the F1 team to every circuit around the world. The consistency and quality of user experience is everything in this uncompromising environment.
Juniper and Aston Martin F1 share a common passion for advanced engineering, for innovation, but also for sustainability. Whether it is building Formula One race cars that will eventually use 100% renewable energy, or building network infrastructures that's going to be powering these factories that are consuming the least amount of energy, but also the least amount of space and will last the longest with investment protection. I could not be more impressed after taking a tour of this Aston Martin F1 new factory. Of course, it's going to be powered by Juniper Networks infrastructure. Such an amazing site. There's going to be some amazing technology that's developed and coming out the doors of this factory.
I thought I'd share a little bit more detail about what Rami and the team from F1 talked about, or Aston Martin. It's especially great to be partnered with Aston Martin with such a great year the team is having. 2 podiums in the first 2 races of the year. Fantastic job. This is what winning is about. We're also happy because you may not know this, but we think right now Juniper is the fastest growing company in the history of the enterprise wireless business, and today is the fastest growing company in the enterprise networking space. So I'll share a little bit with you what we're doing, but let me start with what we're doing for the F1 team, for Aston Martin's F1 team. You saw in the video our CEO Rami taking you toward this facility. I understand this is the first new factory that any F1 team has built in the last 20 years. And as you heard from the CIO, when you do that, you want a state-of-the-art environment. So the new factory comes online this summer. The whole campus comes online within the next year. And we're really pleased to provide a state-of-the-art network for this facility. Without getting into the details and geeking out here, the highlights of this is the core is a layer 2 fabric. It was designed that way with standards-based EVPN VXLAN technology so that we could be highly resilient, very high performance, and very low latency, as well as standards-based. What I'm going to talk a little bit more about is the edge in the network and why that was important to Aston Martin as well. And by the way, we're providing that network not just in that factory campus that you see, which is in Silverstone in the UK. We also provide the network that if you're there trackside this weekend, you'll see that. So imagine setting that network up over and over again around the world and what it takes to do that. So why did Aston Martin select Juniper for the project? Well, you heard the CIO talk about our commitment and theirs to sustainability. Obviously, high performance is critical in this environment, but there's also this aspect of what's becoming popular in the industry to talk about, and that is user experience. How do you measure and metric user experience in real time? Because this network truly does operate in real time. And that's where AI comes in, and that's where Juniper comes in. And this is our vision for what we call a modern network that leverages AI to deliver better user experiences. And to help us relate to that, 4 months ago, I had never heard of something called ChatGPT. I don't know how many of you had heard, but in mid-December of last year, I was in Florida meeting with Disney Studios, they're a customer, and one of the engineers asked me how we were using ChatGPT to enhance our Marvis conversational interface. And fortunately, my VP of products was dialed in on Teams because I hadn't a clue. They started talking about it, but I was fascinated. I went home and I Googled it. I then immediately opened an account. And this is the screen. I'm wondering in the room, how many people have actually gone to this screen and logged in and opened an account? And I'm seeing probably 3/4 of the room. So we're ChatGPT users. I was blown away by the things that ChatGPT could do for me. I actually had a requirement. I was hiring a national sales manager in the States. I asked HR to open up the rec for me, and they said, you have to write a job description. And I said, well, you must have one. And they said, no. I typed in 8 words into ChatGPT, and it wrote and formatted the whole thing. I spent 5 minutes editing it, and I was simply blown away by how good it was. It was better than that which I could have written, and it saved me at least an hour. So I want you to think about the power of that, and then I want to translate it to the network. So 8 years ago, I was part of a company called Mist. We spun out of Cisco in 2014. We were funded by Cisco and Google. Cisco to build a next generation networking platform, and Google because of their interest in AI for operations. And at the time, AI sounded pretty out there 8 years ago. When we started telling customers about it, they wanted to understand the network architecture, but candidly, our biggest accounts back then told us they thought it was a gimmick. They didn't think they would get a payoff from AI. So 8 years in, we're able to do some pretty amazing things, just like you're experiencing with ChatGPT, but very much focused on the problems we have in the network. And I would summarize what we do in 3 ways. First, we help our customers, like the Aston Martin F1 team that has to set up networks on a regular basis. We help roll out networks faster at lower cost with fewer mistakes than any technology in the market. And let me just put an exclamation mark on that because I've used superlatives intentionally. The largest company in the world is our customer. They have 600,000 access points. On a single evening, we will replace 3,000 access points. That's Fortune 1. Fortune 2 has automated the process. We run all the large fulfillment and logistics centers around the world. It takes 17 seconds to replace a Cisco AP with Mist. And there are 3 clicks. 1 click to slide the old AP out of the bracket, 1 click to insert the Ethernet cable, 1 click to put it back in, and 17 seconds later, this is serving Fortune 2's complete profile and serving clients. So we're talking about automation at a very large scale. It really dramatically simplifies the bring up of a network. But when the magic starts to happen is when that network goes into production and the things that bother IT teams every day start to happen. And that's where we fundamentally change the operations for the network team and for the users that are on the network. I'll quote you a few customers here. The 90% reduction in user open support tickets is from a company called ServiceNow. You may be familiar with them. They run the help desk in most enterprises around the world. Well, ServiceNow themselves has 17,000 employees. We replaced their campus network to solve a roaming problem that candidly the incumbent should have solved. The CIO, Chris Beatty, after he saw that that worked and he was happy with his new campus wireless, and he thought about what we told him about AI, he challenged us, the CIO of ServiceNow, challenged us to a race to zero. He said, if AI is real, I have 17,000 employees. I get 100 trouble tickets a month documented in ServiceNow. For every one I get, I think 10 people suffer in silence. 1,000 people are impacted by a network issue. He said, if AI is real, why can't that 100 be zero? Why can't AI know somebody's having a problem and either automatically fix it in the network, or if it's outside the network, do an automated root cause analysis so fast for my team that they can resolve the problem before the user can write the ticket up? We took that challenge almost a year ago. Today, he gives us credit for a 90% reduction. His VP of IT gives us credit for 97%. And in the last month, we were down to 2 tickets. 1 ticket was a power outage. AI can't really solve that. So I want to impress upon you that I'm not talking about, it's 5% better than what you're using today. I want you to think about the experience when you first saw ChatGPT. This can really change the game. The second quote is a university, Dartmouth College. The third quote is the world's largest logistics company. I don't think they're Fortune 5, but they're the largest logistics company in the world. And before our technology, the average time to close a trouble ticket in their network was 48 hours. That was everything from their central hub is down and the planes aren't flying, to some guy in the warehouse in the back of Vietnam said the Wi-Fi sucked last Tuesday, which is the problem that guys love to solve all the time. Yeah, you called me 3 days later and said it sucked last Tuesday. That was 48 hours on average. Today it's less than 2 hours. That's a 96% reduction. Just imagine what it would mean to your organization or your customers if we could eliminate 97% of the trouble tickets, and those that remain, reduce the time to resolve by 90%. Do we get this in every account every time? No. But is it always well above 50%? It is. And these are big numbers. These have big impacts on our customers. I won't read all of these, but after we do that, after we get the network operations kind of in the rearview mirror, then what we focus on truly is delivering better business outcomes. I ran the wireless business for Cisco for a decade, and I was fortunate to meet the CIOs of just about any large company because we were relevant. Networking technology is relevant to a CIO. I never had a CEO that wanted to meet with me. And in the last year, I've met with 2 CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that have business problems they want to solve by integrating location services into the network. So the CEO of the largest electronics retailer in the US has a very simple problem. We all go into a store, we walk to the very back, we look at this wall of TVs, and we pull out our smartphone, and we engage Amazon. And even if that CEO could hire enough salespeople, we would say, no thanks, I'm just looking, and go back to Amazon, who knows everything about us and is truly engaged. That CEO needs to solve that problem. And there's a way to do it with technology. Similarly, with the person who runs the largest pharmacy in the United States, big retail network. But now we're finding this in healthcare, that they want to change patient experiences, and Wi-Fi does that. In education, student, faculty experiences, and Wi-Fi does that if we can inform it with location. So those are the 3 things that we're leveraging AI to do. What we're about is getting telemetry in real time, not from the switch, not from the router, not from the access point, but from every client device on the network. I don't care if it's an IoT camera or a new iPhone or a PC. If it has a Wi-Fi chipset, there are 150 things that can go wrong when you connect. And we track every one for every client every minute. And this is why we had to spin out and start with a clean sheet of paper and build the foundation from the ground up. We do this with less overhead on the network than your current controller architecture has. And I know that because the world's largest logistics company measured it for us because they wanted to make sure that we weren't imposing loads where they have tail circuits that are fractional T1. So the first thing we have is this incredible real-time telemetry that tells me your CEO is having a bad Zoom experience in real time. Once we know that, we signal asynchronously to the cloud, and for 8 years, we've been writing algorithms to do what your best technician would do if they were awake 24/7 and had a sniffer sitting next to every CEO and user on the network and could capture packets in real time, correlate all the events occurring, and do root cause analysis. That's how we got MTTR down by 96%. When we went into the Fortune 2 company, that large e-commerce retailer, they said we had a roaming problem with their robots. And we thought we didn't, but you know what? We had a dynamic packet capture of a device roaming and doing a fast roam. They were stunned that we were even able to capture that, but then we decoded the problem right away and we found out it wasn't us, it was a problem with a client device. So we use AI to fix problems. The third thing we've done is for reliability and for agility. These networks need to move at the speed of the endpoints that connect to it. We've gotten rid of the traditional controller on-prem. We just won, I think it's the 2nd largest bank in the world. 38,000 access points, 700 controllers. Took more than a year to remediate from a major security flaw because of the time it takes to go out and schedule downtime on 700 controllers, say a prayer, put the new code on, bring it back up, see if the access points rejoin, and then if the users rejoin. And those days are over. Now it can be done non-disruptively in the cloud, and it's a much more reliable network, and it's a much more secure network. And then we build location services into the device, so we can actually track where people are. And last, it's an open standards-based platform, so everything can be enabled. If you're a ServiceNow customer, courtesy of ServiceNow, this stack is now fully integrated into ServiceNow using our APIs. So the automation now goes to another level in the stack. That has put Juniper on a podium. The Gartner Group has put us in the highest spot in the Magic Quadrant for wired and wireless networking. That's 3 years in a row, which is pretty phenomenal considering where we were just 5 years ago. And we're also a leader in location services. And we build all of that into the same network. But the thing that we're most proud of up on this board is the customer satisfaction we're getting. It goes beyond the network works. We have customers that are actually delighted with networking technology, and I haven't seen that before in my career. If you get it to work, you're a hero. Delight was something that people rarely used, that word, but we're there. And so now what we've done is we've gone from a wireless AI-driven network to fully integrating all that switching technology. I just showed you that Aston Martin's F1 team is deploying, all integrated under the same Mist cloud, both the core, distribution, access, wireless edge, and now a third generation SD-WAN we have integrated into it. The reason we spent so much time on that full stack was we wanted to understand user experiences from the client device right to the application in the cloud, and to turn IT into a proactive organization that knows about an issue ahead of time. So what we want to get is that CEO who's having a Zoom call like this to know about it proactively, and then more importantly, to tell you exactly where in the network the problem occurred. This is the only way to get the business outcomes I described to you of 96% reduction in MTTR, 90% elimination of trouble tickets. That's what AI can do for you, and that's what we're doing in the network.